Hi guys, TottyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Dell UltraSharp U2719DC. Now this monitor, as the name might suggest, has USB Type-C connectivity and can be found for a whopping £477. Take away that newer connectivity and you can find the same model and same design for £447. So that extra £30 premium gives you that extra ability to connect up to a laptop like I have done with the Surface Go, and I'll show you that in just a bit. Now in terms of the monitor's specs, it runs a 27-inch IPS panel that has a 16:9 aspect ratio, 1440p resolution at 60 Hz, a quoted response time of 8 milliseconds or 5 milliseconds when it's boosted down, has HDMI DisplayPort and yes, USB Type-C display inputs. It's also got DisplayPort output for daisy chaining with another Dell monitor, or another monitor which I can't really test, but Dell guaranteed that you can do it with another Dell monitor. And it's also it's also got 4 USB Type A ports for you to connect up a flash drive. So other than that, it's not got anything remotely mind-blowing. It's not got HDR, it's got not AMD FreeSync or NVIDIA G-Sync, it's not aimed at gamers either, but it's got quite a sleek design. Now, before I go into the actual review of the monitor, I do want to talk about its competitors because it's going to be very important, because I'll be alluding to them quite a lot. Now, its older variants, in fact, can be found for £343, whilst Philips has a USB Type-C variant as well that can be found for £328, so a lot cheaper, but it does have a smaller screen at 25 to 24 inch. And then you've got BenQ's variant of a 1440p monitor. Again, doesn't have USB Type-C, but can be found for £285, which is not half the price, but getting there. So without further ado, let's go into the review of this monitor and let's talk about the features that you get. Now, in terms of the design, I must say Dell have done a fantastic job. It is one of the most appealing looking monitors I've come across in terms of its price range, or even in terms of the features that it's trying to offer. Its 27-inch monitor looks really small because of a 3-sided borderless design, but it doesn't stop there, because at the bottom over here you've got a very thin bezel with what I could only describe as the smallest Dell logo I've ever seen. The stand itself is sturdy, provides height adjustment, pivot, tilt, and can rotate fully as well, meaning that you can have it positioned the way you like, or for your different type of postures. The OSD is comprehensive as well. It provides a full suite of options. However, I do find the button placement at the bottom of the monitor a little bit awkward because it's kind of off-center. What's quite interesting, however, is that the OSD does kind of remember where you've been last. At least when I was doing my test, I found that it would automatically come back to where I left off, whereas most OSDs will go back to the top menu. Very small point there, but something that some people might miss, and actually some people might like when it comes to actually using it on a daily basis. Now, other than that, there's nothing else really to mention, other than it's a very sleek looking monitor. Now, in terms of the image quality, this monitor has an IPS panel, and therefore you're going to get great viewing angles, which is to be expected, and you're going to get pretty nice colors out the box. And I must say, out the box you have a factory calibration report, and it is exactly what it says. It's a very nice looking monitor out the box. It doesn't require you to fiddle around with any settings and such. And I must say, flicking through pictures, I was also impressed. Now, the monitor, however, doesn't have the best sort of contrast ratio, nor does it have the best sort of IPS, well, it has a little bit of IPS glow and a little bit of backlight bleed, but it's to be expected with an IPS panel that's not got a full local array dimming. So it, at this price point, you're going to expect an IPS monitor to have a little bit of backlight bleed, but it's not to the point where it's kind of annoying, or to the point that you're going to be unable to be enjoying the scenes, like dark scenes in a dark sort of room. So other than that, what else is there to say about the panel? Well, it looks great, but it doesn't really pop so much. In terms of the colors, in comparison to my Acer gaming monitor that uses an IPS panel as well, the that panel has a bit more popping sort of colors, whereas this one looks a little bit subdued. And I was a little bit concerned when I was adjusting the brightness, especially when you go to 100% brightness, the white color completely gets skewed off. It's almost like those old school TVs where you'd bump up the brightness and it would skew all the rest of the colors. It somewhat reminded me in this respect. So out of the box, when it said 75%, that's the mode that I left it at, because at 100% I felt that it was a little bit skewed off. And then in terms of brightness as well, it is important to note that it is not the brightest screen in the world, but nor is it the dimmest one. In other words, it's going to be perfectly fine in a normal sunlit room, but if you're going to be in a very bright environment, you might struggle to really make out certain details of the monitor. Now in terms of gaming performance, this is not a gaming monitor to say the least. I played some Counter-Strike on it and I was disappointed at the response time and the input lag. However, it's not shocking to the point that I would be actually happy to be playing in casual games on it, but it's absolutely not one to be used for competitive gaming. I must say in this day and age I was a little bit surprised and a little bit disappointed not to see AMD FreeSync included, which would have meant that you would have had a little bit of extra edge when it came to having a sort of tear-free experience. But that 60Hz panel doesn't go a long way, so again, if you're looking for a gaming monitor, I mean, this isn't it. So overall, what do I think of the monitor? Well, it's good, and the fact that it can connect up to USB Type-C, and I should probably show you that given in terms of the input that I've got at the moment connected to my laptop, I must say that I'm very impressed. And you can see over here USB Type-C, and if I move over my mouse from my laptop, it's very impressive. The fact that I've got that extra input is a great addition. And I've got no complaint in that department. Input-wise, it's got everything that I would want. However, it's very, very expensive. £477 is a lot of money to spend on a 1440p 27-inch monitor. Look, if I was really into USB Type-C connectivity, I would get the Philips instead. It has pretty much everything that I've been talking about with this monitor, and yes, it might not have the sleekest stand, but and nor will it have the larger size of 27-inch, whereas it's sitting at 24 to 25-inch, but at £328, it's a lot cheaper. Now, if you don't care about USB Type-C, someone like myself, because I usually have DisplayPort or HDMI connected, then you've got other options to consider. The BenQ, for example, or if you're really a Dell fanboy or fangirl, then you can even get their older model. So I don't quite understand why this monitor is so expensive. Yes, it's nice, and yes, it's designed well, and it does look good out the box with a factory calibration, but it's not something that's going to make me jump at it to say, hey, you really got to get this monitor. Because at £477, you can get fantastic 1440p monitors, as I've mentioned, and yes, they might not have USB Type-C, or if they have, they're a smaller panel, but you can get a lot better for the money. Even my Acer gaming monitor that comes in around £450 is one I would personally pick for 1440p, and then that has 144Hz and a AMD FreeSync built in, which also works with G-Sync. So there we go, guys, that's been my honest review. I can't recommend this monitor, even though this monitor is very good at what it's supposed to do out of the box. It's a great monitor all around, but the pricing to me is just way too much for what it offers. So there we go, guys, I've been totally dubbed. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you check in the description below for alternatives and the specs to Dell's website. Alright guys, I've been totally dubbed. Take care and bye-bye.